Hi, how are you? So
I'm
a lot
great.
has happened in the last week betwixt the last time we spoke and this moment, has it not?
Yes.
Uh, do you want to go chronologically in reverse or I mean, do you want to hear what the big good things that happened to me last week before we delve into what's happening in my city, or do you want to delve into
Sure.
what's happening in my city
I'm
first?
I'm you know
Okay.
me. I'm always here for the good news. Sure.
Okay, good. So, for those who still do the Twitter, last week, you'll all
Mm.
remember, amidst of all of the stupidities, there was the grand stupidity of Donald Trump not being able to say acetaminophen, and then Tylenol got blamed for autism, which is
Mhm.
really fucking stupid because
Mhm.
that's not a thing.
Sure.
So, so memes began with Tylenol and the Epstein files because it's yet another, distraction from the Epstein files. And there was
Right.
one where it's like it just said it was a Tylenol logo. Underneath it says, "Nice try. Release the Epstein
Yes.
files." Saw,
Yes.
saw it on Facebook. Saw it on Facebook like your
Pretty
aunt.
hilarious. Yeah.
I created a forward for the world by just making a tweet about it. And all I wrote was, Hal, it was 8 words and an emoji. All I wrote was, "Wow." I wrote, "The official response from Tylenol is just brutal," with
Uh-huh.
the smirk emoji.
Yeah.
Now those who have a sense of humor
Right.
would recognize this couldn't possibly be a real thing. Couldn't
Sure.
possibly,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's funny and everyone's making fun of him. I
Mhm.
didn't even hashtag it. I didn't even Epstein it. Nothing. It has
Right.
gotten more engagement than any tweet I have ever written in my entire Twitter life, which began in 2009. It got over 10 million engagements, 10 million,
Uh-huh.
because MAGA was like, the study says that pregnant women shouldn't take the Tylenol. And they all went nuts. They
Uh-huh.
thought it was real because I dared to use the word official. The word official triggered. And so, therefore,
Right.
MAGA boosted me into what Daily Cause called worldwide interest.
All right.
And it was so triggering for the babies that I made Snopes. Snopes, Hal. I was on Snopes. They
You
had
were
to write a whole
snoped?
article. I They got Snoped. I knew what I was doing. Those dumb fucks boosted me to the best engagement I have ever had on Twitter,
Mhm.
which is ridiculous because it wasn't for something meaningful or important that moves the
Mhm.
political needle in any direction. It did, however, get retweeted by the likes of John Cleese, which made me very happy because that's, come
Yeah.
on, that's
Yeah, yeah.
John Cleese. And
Yeah.
politics aside, and if he's quote anti woke, whatever people got mad at John Cleese for, I don't even remember. John Cleese of Monty Python thought I was funny. I'm good.
John Cleese is what is genuinely a free speech advocate. He's not a
Cool.
cartoonish one, which means everybody but Kimmel. He means for real. And so, a lot of, the kind of the slacktivists on our side will jump on somebody like that, thinking that, you know, that somehow, well, some stuff has to be put down. And you're like, nope, it really doesn't. Especially if you're trying to be funny, you can fail at being funny.
Right.
We don't jail people for being bad artists in
Oh,
our
if
country.
only. No, no,
Well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We love the First Amendment. So,
hmm,
yes, John Cleese, the chat is impressed. Our
yeah, it is. It's
publishers,
great.
not yet. See, here's the interesting thing about social media. I put it on every single one of my social media accounts, obviously. It did really well on Instagram. I got over 10,000 views on Insta, but Twitter is where it really went kerflooey the biggest.
Sure.
And Twitter is also the only social media app that I use that is pushing the lie that Portland is war torn and on fire. Every other place that I inhabit
Yeah,
knows the truth, which is we're
it
all
doesn't
good
exist.
here.
It was blown. No, it was
We
blown
need
up a
no
long time
federal
ago. You live in a
existence.
crater. Stop trying. Look, for
Yep.
people that don't know, Tara lives in a crater, and that's a Zoom background. Even her cats are CGI. I don't buy
Correct.
it.
I'm not real. I'm
Yeah,
I'm Russian intelligence. I'm an
that's right.
intelligence bot to collect. I'm collecting all of your IP addresses right now through this
Mm-hmm.
microchip chip in my neck. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so so anyway, Well, I mean, it got me I mean, what it did was it sort of broke me out of the suppressed algorithm, obviously, and bigger liberal accounts were finally saw me and have
Hmm.
started sharing some of my other
Awesome.
tweets, which are good. Like Wajahat Ali
Hmm.
retweeted me and followed me, and I'm going to be on a Substack live of his very soon, and that's going to be
Great.
amazing. It's about getting our independent media voices out in the world as much as possible. And and telling the truth that the mainstream media isn't telling. And so that was a good thing. And then the other thing that happened last week, I mean, between all of that going on, I had Malcolm Nance and Ron Wyden, my senator, back on the Tara Show podcast. And
Hmm.
it was I just fortuitous timing. I had both of them booked before the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and also I had my senator booked before the threat of the Portland invasion. So the timing of that was really great. And then on Friday, my senator Ron Wyden had a town hall here, and I went to that, and that was a really interesting experience because people were yelling at him, and there wasn't I didn't get to ask him a question because they did it like raffle style, and
Hmm.
my number wasn't called, but I did get a moment with him afterwards backstage. But people were yelling at him, and people got removed, and people were mad about, it was really Gaza heavy on the
Sure.
questions and everything like that. Um, and I was frustrated by that because there are issues happening right here in Portland that
Yeah.
deserve a lot of attention as well. But anyway, when I
Right. Yeah,
spoke
I would
with
argue
Ron,
that those people's entire goal is to make sure those don't get addressed. It isn't that they give a shit about Gaza at all. I don't buy
well,
it.
yeah,
Like after a
and
while, again, this goes to, and I'm going to hammer this till it gets through some of the thicker heads. But there are a bunch of people that are allegedly, pro-Palestinian, pro-Gaza, anti-Israel right now, and don't give a rat's ass about the outcome. That there's a good third of like right wing Candace Owens types who pretend to be pro Palestinian.
mhm,
You know why? Because they want all Arabs in the United States to go back to the Middle East. That's why
right,
they
it's
want
it's
that.
so
The
disgusting.
creation of Israel in some ways for some of the countries in Europe was one of the greatest acts of anti-Semitism that ever happened because it was this: you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And so they
Right.
like, well, I don't have a home. Well, we'll create you one so you can get the fuck out. And we know you can't be killed, but we don't want you here. And there's a huge
Yeah.
part of that in the allegedly pro-Palestinian movement that has a lot to do with like clearing out Michigan, clearing out parts of San Francisco and other areas. And then there's the people who, either are baited into it or genuinely care but are deluded into like they voted for Trump or not at all, and
Yeah.
allowed Trump to do with his Trump Plaza Gaza and referring to the Palestinians as a cancer. Like, well, it's sort of a coin flip.
Exactly.
I can't believe anybody's that stupid. So I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're smarter than that and they're just
Mhm.
awful.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I
continue.
did take
Yeah.
after and we'll get back to that in 1 second. I spoke with Ron after the thing was over,
Ron.
and
She
I was like,
calls him.
"Wow,
She
that
calls
it
Senator Wyden Ron. Anyways, go ahead.
he loves me. He wants to
I
get a
know.
nosh."
Hmm.
When he's back in Washington now, but when he returns to Portland. And his staff is amazing. They've been incredible, specifically after I got those threatening texts, and they've been
Hmm.
fantastic to me. They're lovely. And but we spoke, and I said, and it got really, really heated. Like there were a few protesters that had to be removed because they weren't abiding by the rules of the town hall, but also
Right.
they were using increasingly violent rhetoric, and there was one man who got really mad and was yelling, 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 and at one point he said Israel has no right to exist, and that is when you get removed, because what you're saying is the genocide you're committing is terrible, but we wanted to commit genocide against the Israeli people and take over your land, and that's not also not okay. And so
Right.
I was more concerned about government shutdown. How does that affect us? Is Trump going to invade Portland? What's going to happen if he does?
Hmm.
And also, what about the Epstein files if the government shuts down? And he was
Right.
very calm. He's a very calming presence. He was calm
Yeah.
throughout the town hall. He was calm when we spoke. He's very tall, and he leaned down. He said, he goes, Tara, we're gonna win. We're gonna
Hmm.
win.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, but we're going to talk more. And one of the things that we talked about, because I also let him know that I'd spoken with someone in Ro Khanna's office, depending on what happens with the shutdown, trying to put together a hearing in Congress regarding the online harassment and the real how it spills over into real life and how MAGA is. Because the most of the world, as we've said, or most of America is not on Twitter. They don't know how MAGA does this. But I did let his oh wait, what's his guy? I have a million cards here. His chief communications advisor know about how no one but people on Twitter are pushing these anti-Portland messages and whatever else.
Right.
So that is something that we're going to continue that conversation and see where that takes us. And remember,
Mm-hmm.
we are still out in the streets on October 18th for No Kings. Every state, every city, multiple cities in every state will be holding No Kings. We want to have the biggest one-day protest in American history. I'm emceeing our Portland rally, and we're trying to put together a cavalcade of local Portland talent to join us. But the point is that right now, what we're facing in America is a crisis of authoritarianism and fascism, and words that MAGA doesn't understand. Because fascism is bad. You don't want fascism in America. What you want is the opposite of fascism, which is anti fascism. And so to designate quote unquote Antifa as a terrorist organization is wrong because that's basically all of America.
Okay,
And
I'm gonna push back on one of those things, and I hear this in the
okay,
chat room a lot, and I think people disregard the reality on the ground because they're fighting for the value of the name. That's like saying, what's wrong with National Socialists? From 19 the idea that Hitler's party were just National Socialists, right?
mm-hmm,
Who doesn't like National Socialism? Isn't that the whole point? You want to take care of your own people, right? That's
mm-hmm,
right. Antifa is not like a threaded organization, but there are people who have co-opted that name and walk around with flags that borrow the concept of being anti-fascist, who themselves believe in their own form of fascism. So it's
right,
it to me it's like it's like what's I don't know what's wrong with the teachings of Jesus Christ. Look, David Koresh is just here to spread the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? Like, you know what I mean?
I
Like
got you.
it's an oversimplification, and everybody dumps into this
Yes.
whole thing, and that's what like the Antifa crowd that don't vote at all, that don't believe in democracy at all, want the system itself to burn down. Fuck all the poor people that will be harmed in the process. Fuck all the sick people who will never get health care. Fuck all them because they are just collateral damage. They have to pay the price so that the system can be torn down.
Right.
That's
Right.
the people who walk around with a sign that they made themselves that says that say I am Antifa. I don't have a problem with those people because I think that's where
Mhm.
they're really stating that they're against fascism. That's
Yes.
fine. But the people who are waving
Yes.
the flags are a different crowd entirely. The black blockers, the
Mhm.
people who are wearing masks and throwing
Yes.
Molotov cocktails and shit like that,
Yes.
don't give a fuck
They're
about
stirring shit.
democracy. They don't give
They're
a
stirring
fuck
shit for the
about
sake.
right.
Yeah.
They're just shit stirs for the sake of it. They are Susan Sarandon,
Jill Stein,
acolytes.
they're
Yeah,
all
Jill Stein
that.
acolytes. Right. They don't
Andy
give a fuck,
No.
and they're never
Yeah.
going to. So, and
No.
they feed into. They're easily baited because they're anarchists.
Right.
Anybody waving an Antifa flag is actually an anarchist. It's not about what they're against. It's about what they're for. Period.
Right.
And that's
And
the problem that
I
we have when we end up defending people that aren't even on our side in these things. And again, the if the greatest lie the devil ever told was teaching the world he doesn't exist, the same thing is true of sort of Antifa and other groups luring people into thinking that, well, you're fighting fascism with us, when in reality
mhm,
they are not. What they're
they're
fighting
not.
is democracy, and they know it. But they can co-opt your genuine. They what I would call like weaponize your empathy and steal it. And then the right just runs with it, saying that, see, they all support this Antifa
Right,
crowd
of
with the
course.
black bloc throwing fucking cans of soup and Molotov
Which we
cocktails
don't.
and assault, which we don't.
Right.
And then that gets all the news. That gets all the
Yes. Of
news.
course
And
it
the
does. Of
protesters
course
in
it
Portland who
does.
are walking around pushing baby carriages and holding up signs that, that say immigrants are welcome here don't get any fucking coverage at all.
No, they don't.
They're completely disregarded because that's not news. What if it bleeds, it leads, and fire will always lead the nightly news. So that crowd gets to own the conversation, and that's what Trump wants. Trump wants to
I
send
know.
a bunch of these people down, lure out these Antifa dickheads who, again, are not like anti-fascist. They are anti-democratic anarchists. It's horseshit.
Of
And
course
those
it
guys
is.
show up, start throwing Molotov cocktails, give him an excuse to open fire. That's what they're shooting for. They're literally
Of course.
gaming that. Like they want that
Right.
to happen. These are either
Well,
useful
yeah.
idiots or agents provocateur. The ones that were yanked off the street in Portland, like during 2020, they were like, they're yanking
Yes.
people off the streets. I'm like, no, they're not. A bunch of those people got in the van. They were with them, you dumbass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
All right.
allowing Trump to lead everybody by their nose, this is crucial because again, we breeze past this shit and it drives me crazy. It's
I know
not
it
like
does.
just because you use the label doesn't mean you're the thing. I'm not going to believe Caroline Levitt or Mike Pillow or fucking Christians because they wear a cross and the guy who died on the cross said love your
Exactly.
neighbor. I'm not going to assume those traits, and if somebody's wagging a flag and calling themselves Antifa, I'm not going to automatically assume that they're against fascism when their behavior is fascistic.
Got
Period.
it. Okay. There are things I want to
Other than
say.
that, I have no opinion.
First, and neither do I, and I'm so sorry that we don't provide any content for the chat. I would like to make a statement about the Twitter and why I stay. First of all, as an American Jew, I don't let Nazis run me out of anywhere. That's one part of it. The second part of it is that's where all the Republicans post. It's my job to know what they're saying. My job as a member of the independent media, when I go on Political Voices Network, when I speak to you, when we do the Tara show, when I go on Dino Badela's show every other week to do Bullbusters, I have to know what they're saying. I have to know what they're tweeting. I have to know what the collective bullshit is now so that I can push back on the truth until we finally get our Democratic press secretary to go out there every day and get a truthful briefing going. I understand what you're saying about how I shouldn't support it and whatever else. There are reasons to stay, and that is the same thing as like holding a bunker, staying in a trench, and making sure that they don't encroach on your territory physically. This is territory that we had, that they took over, that we shouldn't relinquish. If you don't want to be there until it gets better, I don't blame you. It's shitty, but I also know how to protect myself there. It's very easy to protect yourself there. And what I've started doing instead of being in the For You, because none of that's for me anymore. I don't follow the White House. I don't follow Caroline. I don't follow fucking Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio. I stay in my following tab. And my people and I boost each other. And that's how we are getting our truth out. And 2 days before we're in the streets for No Kings, we've got Malcolm Kenyatta, the vice chair of the DNC, on the Tower Show. And we're going to have a very serious and very blunt conversation about democratic messaging and unifying properly and getting everybody to understand exactly what we're up against without sugarcoating it and letting that fucking bully push us around anymore. I'm done. There's 370 million of us. There's one of him. He's got a bunch of enablers, but we still outnumber them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't advocate for political violence ever. I want him removed in the legal way. Our voices matter. We have to push back. So yesterday, we were in the streets of Portland peacefully protesting. It's on my Instagram. It's on and on Twitter. And I haven't like done a whole lot of Blue Sky because over on Blue Sky, as good as it is, echo chamber. I'm not changing anybody's minds there. I'm not telling anybody the truth that they don't already know. They know Portland's not on fire. They know we don't need to be invaded, right? They know already. I don't have to convince anybody there. I don't have to show anybody the reality of where I live. And so yesterday we put together I'm connected to the local 50501 here. We put together a protest march in under 24 hours and over 3,000 people showed up yesterday peacefully. We had the ACLU, we had local unions, we had all the local Democratic people with us. My mayor, Keith Wilson, was there. Our governor, Tina Kotek, was there. Not only did they speak, but they marched with us. They marched with us. I co-led the march. I had a little megaphone. Not that you think this voice needs one, but you do. And so we're marching in the streets. We only marched for about a mile because the bigger march is coming on the 18th. But mostly what we chanted was, show Trump what democracy looks like. This
Mm-hmm.
is what democracy looks like. Show Trump what Portland looks like. This is what Portland looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. We had, I want you to know, the gathering of all ages. The children in the strollers with the mom
Mm-hmm.
holding the immigrants are welcome here stroller. And we were covered. The local news was there. Independent news was there to cover it. I was obviously there. I live streamed a lot of the speeches. I walked with my governor. I walked with my mayor. I was very proud to be there. And no counter protesters stopped us. There was no violence whatsoever in our
Mm-hmm.
entire afternoon. What you see, what they share, is what they want the entire world to think all of Portland is.
Yep.
The ICE facility is an isolated place. It's not isolated, but it's down on the south waterfront
Mm-hmm.
next to the old spaghetti factory, which is
Mm-hmm.
not great for them. Excuse me. And it's also right next to the Tesla factory. And so that draws people. Now, when my Senator Ron Wyden went down there on Saturday and filmed, there was nobody there because it was the middle of the afternoon. Literally no one. My friend, a friend of mine, went and made her own video, and there were like 15 people. She's like, it looks like they're waiting for the bus.
Mm-hmm.
But then at night, that's when the agitators come,
Yep.
and that's when it looks really cool. If you have something on fire, you bring a guillotine or whatever the anarchists, the black bloc people
Yeah.
do. That's not representative of who Portland is, and that's what you want to believe. You can stay in that. I continue to push the truth because it matters to me more than anything, and it doesn't matter to me if what people think. What matters is what people do. So on a day where yesterday we had so many acts of gun violence happen in our country yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was so abhorrent what we saw, perpetrated not by Democrats, not by
Mm-hmm.
Democrats. Democrats want peaceful solutions. We talk about this all the time. And what we're trying to do here in Portland, someone asked Tara, how far is the ice place from the Crystal Ballroom? They are nowhere near each other. Come on down, please. Go out. If you live in Portland or you were planning on visiting Portland, none of this should stop you because, first of all, we don't have troops on the ground just yet. And the state attorney general Dan Rayburn is suing to block the troops and all of that. We don't
Mm-hmm.
need the deployment of troops here. No American city does. No state in the United States should be a police state. No city should be invaded by the U.S. government. There's no reason the U.S. government shouldn't bully us. Trump is doing this to distract from the Epstein files. And I saw right before I
Mm-hmm.
joined you, I saw on
Yeah.
Instagram, apparently there's a TikTok that's going crazy viral. There is somebody threatening to expose Mike Johnson's Grindr profile if he doesn't swear in the new rep so that they can vote on the Epstein files. That's my kind of resistance, baby. I hope it happens. I hope it
Well, it's
happens
got to be a
because
rough day to be Benny Johnson.
oh, I heard about that too. Apparently, he likes Nazi porn. Gay Nazi porn is his thing, and
I
so
mean,
that's why he sees gay Nazi porn in his feeds because they give you what you search for.
yeah, but I guess there was also that he had hooked up with someone of color. Was the also the
Oh,
other part of it?
I haven't seen that one because I've been busy
Yeah,
fighting democracy here.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll
So,
love interesting, weird. All the things they
isn't
claim
it
to hate,
always isn't that always the
secretly
way?
love.
Yeah.
They secretly love
So yeah,
it.
like the like it's like the shootings over the weekend are a sort of no surprise. Like it's this weird like the shooter's mom was a big Trumpy, went to multiple the at the church, went to
Uh huh.
multiple things, posted something right before um like right before the shooting, and God knows if it's related or not at this point.
Oh God,
Um,
what? I
yeah,
missed all of
well,
that because I was
she
out.
wrote, it's long, but the it's all about her, like, you people lack accountability, and you say you could have talked to me. No, I couldn't. You don't listen. You deflect. You twist everything into an attack, and then play the victim. Conversations with you aren't healing. They're exhausting,
Uh-oh.
draining, and emotionally suffocating. Every time I try to speak, it feels like walking through a maze of blame where my words are used against me. My intentions questions, my emotions invalidated. I end up questioning myself, doubting my own perceptions because nothing I say lands without being turned into some justification for your behavior. It was shared by, or I
Whew.
guess some post on Facebook before this happened or whatever. He's
Before she
also
went to
a
church?
Trump. He's a big Trumper. No, I don't think
Uh-huh,
she.
they
The
all
he
are.
was. Yeah. The point is, and again, it's in all of these things, and I will say this: like all of these shooters, the Charlie Kirk shooter, this guy, the dude who opened fire on that restaurant, from a
Mhm.
boat in the fucking harbor in whatever South Carolina, um,
North
North
Carolina, yeah.
Carolina, yeah. Um,
Mhm.
I got to tell you, like people will ping this all over about the politics of each individual. It's always and every time about the ego of these assholes finding a gun. That they think they have the
Of
right,
course.
that their right to grievance outweighs somebody else's right to be alive. And I don't want to hear shit from like anybody on the right about being pro-life when you're going to shrug off the ease at which people can get guns, because an
Correct.
AR-15 the AR stands for abortion rifle. It ends a
Mhm.
natural life before its time on the planet is through. There is
It's
no
awful.
the best day of a gun's life is the worst day of yours. The only time it has value
Mhm.
is if you're saving your life with it. Every other use of it is either a jerk off, or some sort of fantasy that people live in. Or you can
Yep.
get good with it so you don't harm anybody else if, God forbid, you ever have to use it. That's it. But
Which
this,
I don't
like,
want one. I never have
this
wanted one. Most
cartoonish
Democrats.
attachment to it, and like making them toys or playthings, is really part of the gun culture's part of it. And then maybe that's one of our language we need to shift to, is that if a gun is going to be about self-defense, and if a gun is going to be about something serious like protecting your homestead and your family, then it should be treated
Mhm.
with that kind of seriousness, and not, not everybody can just walk around downtown with one draped in front of their chest like they're waiting for, Walking Dead to break out. It should matter more than that
No.
in a civilized society, and that's a big problem with these guys. So
It's a
that
huge problem, but it's a bigger problem in Congress because too many Republicans are owned by Russian-funneled NRA blood money, and they don't wanna give it
hmm
up because, blood money is still green once it's laundered.
hmm
So, it's money's all green under that blood, and they don't care. It
it's
all
digital
comes down
now.
to
It's blue.
fucking money.
It glows blue, I guess, because it's all crypto.
What the
Because
fuck
that's how
ever.
they're feeding all
It
this in. Yeah.
It all comes down to fucking money. That's why Disney caved. That's why Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air. Both Sinclair and Nexstar have caved, and they're now going to broadcast Jimmy Kimmel again. It all comes down to
hmm
fucking money, and I don't know how much money a human being truly needs, because at the end of your life, what are you doing? You're not gonna you wanna be buried with gold doubloons like Scrooge
Well, you
McDuck or
can leave your
something? I
money to
don't.
your family. You can make sure that
Of
your
course you
grandkids go to
can.
school.
That's not what they want it for, though. They don't wanna preserve their own future generations. They wanna be like, I got mine, fuck you, get your own." That's what it seems to be, and so that's not very democratic, that's not
Okay,
American, that's not
well, I
what
was
I
saying that,
want.
like, in the case of,
So
I would argue that him being back on Sinclair and these other things, arguably, is a good sign of the fact that MAGA, as fluid as their line with Donald Trump has been over the last, since he came on the scene, there are some hard lines that even he can't get past, that don't
it's true.
necessarily have to do with money, that don't have to do with it. One of them is Epstein, and the other one is we consider ourselves free speech absolutists. And you saw that with the Rogan pushback, and you saw that with, like, other people going, even if it's just the self-interest of, don't you think that's going to be used against you, which was Rogan's fall on it, instead of that's just wrong. But
Right,
he knows his audience, and he knows that they won't give a shit if something's just wrong. They give a shit if it can be used against them, if it can be, if it's a double-edged sword, or it can be turned on them, then they'll maybe
right.
pay attention. But it wasn't about
It's
the, like, Sinclair making more money off this so much as their own audience turned on them. Their own audience,
Yeah,
were at least trying to pretend to stand up for the beliefs that they have. And we can
right.
take that
And
as a win. That's us winning. It's just like the child tax credit that was in the
yes.
big BS bill. The reason it
Hmm.
was in there is because Democrats, introduced it. Democrats created it and furthered it, and it worked so well they couldn't get rid of it. Even Republicans had to be okay with it being in there. Should it be bigger? Absolutely. But the fact that they couldn't get rid of it, just like the ACA, proves that we are, we're stacking wins while Trump is, blathering on about him winning every direction when all of his stuff's being rolled back into his lap, even if it seems like he's winning for a short time. It isn't. A lot of this shit's getting rolled up.
Of course it is. And it's frustrating to watch all of this happen because none of this needs to be happening. Like
Hmm.
we should not be living under chaos. And I'll just keep repeating this. The president of the United States isn't supposed to be bullying American citizens. And that's what he's doing.
Hmm.
That's what he's doing. And his fellow bullies are helping him. And that's not okay. That's not the American way. And I will tell you, what you're talking about is happening. There are fractures within MAGA because there's those MAGA people who still believe, as Charlie Kirk did, in the full release of the Epstein files. But in my adventures on Twitter yesterday, post getting home from the first quote unquote siege of Portland battle on the waterfront,
Right.
um, which we'll get back to in a second, you find that people troll you, and then you
The
see. I always
Battle
go
of
to the
Granola
profile and
Hill.
who. I mean, it's fought with bubbles and kombucha.
Right.
I wrote a dispatch for like a Ken Burns dispatch that I can dramatically perform at the end if you want.
Hmm.
But because we're doing those like we did with the Battle of Montgomery, it's very funny.
Sure.
But there is, within all of the trolling, there is a major MAGA account actually telling the truth about how wrong this is. She's the patriotic blonde, and she writes this whole thing about what Trump is doing in Portland is unconstitutional, invading cities unconstitutional. It defies. It goes. He can't just sign an executive order. He needs the power of Congress to pass this for him to do
Hmm.
this. And here's the statute, and here's the law. And she's like, boom, 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 boom. And there are MAGA people responding to her saying, "You're a traitor to Trump. Fuck you." And she's like, "No, he can't do this. You have to see that he can't do this." And it's amazing. Like, I was like, "Oh my God, I have never seen this happen before." I
Yep,
mean,
that's what I
occasionally it's
said. It's
happened on
happening on a
Fox.
bunch of these fronts, look, some of them slow on the uptake in the right wing media.
Sure.
The Benny Johnsons of the world and the like. Of course they are, but you can see them dragging towards it. You can argue that there was a similar thing with Charlie Kirk about the Epstein files, where he's like, "I'm done talking about it," because he got marching orders from the White House on that Monday. Tuesday he was back to talking about him, not because
Yep.
they had called him, the White House had called back and said never mind, go ahead. It's because he had so many people in his comment section, so many people who actively give to TPUSA, who were saying, what are you doing? You have to talk about this, because
Yeah.
not because I give money to you, and if you don't talk about it, people come knocking on my door and say, why
Yep.
are you protecting this? Why are you paying for him to hide the Epstein files? Like, that's what they were
Right.
getting. And there
Right.
is that line. And whenever
Yeah.
that line exists, we have a moral responsibility to highlight it. And anytime it creates a gap between Trump and his followers, we have a moral responsibility to shove a crowbar in the gap and wiggle it back and forth
Absolutely.
all day long.
Yep. And I responded to her, and I thanked her, and I retweeted her, and I said, "Here's how we do this. This is how we get out of this. We don't have to agree on anything else, but we should agree on one, this
Yep.
is America, and this should not be happening in America. And two, this is America where we should be able to disagree without threatening each other's lives. Those are two basic things I would like from all Americans right now. That would be great. Those
Mm-hmm.
are basic things, easy things. If that MAGA person, who is a real person, she's a real person, and she still, we're not. I
Yeah.
saw some of her other tweets, and I saw the way she misused the word Antifa. Yeah, I'd like to knock Antifa around. Okay, well, let's just dial that one down.
Mm-hmm.
But here's that common ground. We found it. I found common ground with you, and the common ground is the land we live on.
Mm-hmm.
This land is your land. This land is my land. This land is stolen land. But anyway, it's still we're all on it together,
I
correct?
will not sit by
And
while you dehumanize the Native American population and turn them into antelopes. They fought a war and they lost. Some of them sided with the Spanish, some of them sided with the British. The United States is one of the only countries that fought a war with the indigenous people that were there and gave them reservations at all instead of just wiping them out entirely. There's a lot of hate and awful to go around in that part of it,
yeah,
and dehumanizing a people by saying it was simple theft, like they didn't have a part in fighting back in it, which they
yeah,
absolutely
no.
did, or that the
I'm
Sioux
just
owned the
mirroring
land
the
that they took from
language.
the Pawnee and then it was taken
Yeah.
from them is not the same thing. Like, by the way, I'm going to start with it. This goes to Israel, Buckingham Palace, the native lands anywhere in the world, and exploratory lands anywhere else in the world. There are no magic rocks. There are humans on the earth,
Oh,
and they belong everywhere they
right.
get to, and that's that.
Yeah.
Like like
Right.
the idea. Good Lord. Um,
Well, what we say, excuse me, what we say here in Portland when there are land acknowledgments given at events, because they are
mhm.
here, we acknowledge the land. At the end, like we do one at Low Bar Corral because they learned to do that when they were on tour in Australia. They do land acknowledgments in Australia because that land was very much stolen from the Aborigines. But here in in Oregon, there are a lot of things named for the local tribes that
Yeah,
still
which
are
also
here.
upset me.
And
Don't get me started. I
and
have this bit in my
so
wait.
what
I
we
have this bit in my act
say,
that I've said every like when
yeah,
you go up to Wisconsin and you're like, "Welcome to Oconomowoc." Like that's a weird name. Where'd that come
mm,
from? Well, it's named after the Oconomowoc Indians. Oh yeah, where are they? You're standing on them. Like the
yeah,
idea that you would name the town after the Indians that you wiped out to build the place, or somebody that was nice that was a part of them at one point before you wiped them
right.
out is also ick.
Correct. And so my whole point of all of this was at the end, when we do our land acknowledgement, it says the land was never ceded. 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 We did not cede it. Which goes along with what you were saying with which was we didn't just give it to you. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
cede it to you. We fought for it. That's implied in the
Mm-hmm. Right.
it wasn't
Yep.
given.
Yeah,
We
that's
fought for
totally
it. So
fine.
that's what we
Right.
do. That's how you do
That's
a
right.
land
It's what humans
acknowledgement. You
do.
acknowledge.
Right.
Yes. That's what we do here. And here in Portland, and again, I encourage everybody to check my Instagram. You could pull it up right now, Hal, and see all of the destruction that we crawled through yesterday in Portland to march through the streets as I walked with my governor and my mayor,
Yes. Right.
and
Across the
and
lava.
and
Right.
yes, we managed to make it, but those that we would. I don't know if people on my Substack. I wrote something that people on Facebook really, really love. Like, this should go viral. It should be on the
Mm-hmm.
Daily Show. It should be on Jimmy. Yeah, may
Uh-huh.
I? Do you
Sure.
have a Ken Burns music bed available?
I
Could you make that
let's
happen?
see. I
Like,
let's see. I very
because
possibly.
what we're doing in Portland is we're fighting back with humor. We're trying to fight back with intelligence and cleverness, and we're trying to, like on my Substack, I wrote a Substack, another open letter to Trump, because I wrote him an open letter in 2016 that if you read it, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my God, I predicted so many things. But I was like, come on, like, please accept Ron Wyden's invitation to come to Portland and hang out in one of our neighborhoods. And we have a Ritz Carlton, we have fancy golf clubs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have fancy golf clubs. I can take you. There's two amazing steakhouses here. I will make sure you can get the most burnt steak you want. We'll douse it in ketchup. I'll give you a carafe of Diet Coke. Burn your steaks, not our city. He's never even been here. He has
Right.
never been to Portland.
He's not gonna
No
come.
idea.
He's not gonna.
No,
Yeah, he's not
no, no.
So
Tom Homan
no, I
snuck
don't I
into
don't I
Portland.
don't have
Do you
any
have
I like Ken Burns Old
old?
West
You have
music
something?
or
You have
what kind
anything
of
old
stuff like
timey? A little, like
yeah.
old West sort of. I'm sitting around the campfire with the harmonica.
Yeah, hold on
Something
one
like
second.
that.
I'll actually have
Something
there's a
you'd
great
hear
way
in
to
the
do
Ken Burns
it. So
Civil War
meanwhile
documentary.
I would like to remind everybody, tell everybody about your Substack real quick
Oh, well, my
and where to
Substack
sign
is,
up and
Substack,
the Terror
Tara
Show.
yes, taradublin.substack.com. The Tara Show is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the Political Voices Network YouTubes and Substack. And I also have my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, at TaraDublinRocks.com, which everybody who really reads it loves. And there's a brand new review on it that's very nice. It says it should be a movie, and I don't disagree. So I'm trying to parlay my 10 million tweet thing into getting like an actual publishing deal and an agent and a big deal, option, so that you can be in the streaming series, Hal, because I know exactly what part you should play. And Ellen Barkin wants to play the rock star's mom, and Rosanna Arquette
Excellent.
wants to be in it, and lots of other. If you watch your feet, Cameron Crowe gave me a blurb. So, it's just, it's all good positivity. And I want to make something good happen out of that viral tweet because, my mind is worth millions over here, Hal. I'm an untapped writing gold mine, as I'm about to prove with this thing that I wrote off the top of my head, because the letters from the Siege of Portland are beginning. A little happy.
It's too fast. It's too happy.
It's
yeah.
too happy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Something maybe like something from "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" That like sad sort of melancholy. Where I have to hide in the backwoods and sleep by day and travel by night.
Hold on. Song, strings, dramatic.
I don't know, something Ken Burnsy. Something Ken Burnsy.
Well, you know what I'm using AI to do it, and I can't ask it for anything with anybody's name in it because it thinks you're trying to steal. I only
You could try.
Nope, that's too.
Americana. Try Americana. That's a little Spanish, a little flamenco-y. A little flamenco-y.
Yeah. It's like a Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, that sounds like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
I like this fun little tangent we're on, though. I like to talk about music more than anything, so that might work. Just turn it way down.
Yeah. Hold on. I'll bring that down.
All
right. Go ahead.
It's really loud in my head. Is it loud for everybody?
I'm sorry. I'm doing what I can. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. All the things that we do in the name of art.
Okay. Is that better?
All right, ready?
Or,
I think it is. What are they saying in the chat?
I'll lower it.
I hope I haven't oversold this.
Is that better? Lower for you?
That's good right there.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. You ready?
Yeah.
Dearest Mother, I write from my third-floor bunker in the former Pearl District here in war-torn Portland. The streets where we once proudly strolled with our Stumptown cold brews and kombucha are now littered with crushed cacao beans and burned pages from the aftermath of the Great Powell's book explosion. This morning we made our way to the demolished Whole Foods, despite the compostable detritus sticking to the bottoms of our Keens and Tivas. Whatever organic fruit remains is bruised and past its sell-by dates, but my neighbor Juniper believes she can still make enough compote to trade at the farmer's market. The salad bar is a husk of its former self, the bins empty of the glorious arugula and quinoa, and the scent from the rotting cheese displayed nearby hangs in the air. The shelves are almost barren, containing the last boxes of the less popular flavors of Kind bars, and everything gluten-free. The cats and I have been managing on a ration diet of Trader Joe's canned chicken and oat milk, but I fear their collective appetites will soon force me north to Petco. Greedy corporate cat food is the last straw, Mother. This damn war! I cannot attempt the hike to Southeast, where the boutique pet store used to be, right between the thrift store with the tarot card reader and the Korean barbecue place. Oh, Mother, when will we ever know the taste of a proper bibimbap again? I ache for the flavors of our once vibrant food capital of a city before the Trump troopers came in with their tanks and flattened the Japanese and Chinese gardens along with all of the food cart pods and pop-up tasting rooms. I shall write again if I'm able to smuggle another letter to that banjo player from that jug band I saw that one time. Until then, I remain your devoted daughter, Harvest. And scene.
There you go.
Thank you very
Ta-da!
much.
And
Ta-da. Thank you
scene.
very much. And scene. Thank you. Thank you
That
for notes from
absolutely
the siege of Portland. Doom, da, down,
sure.
down,
Yeah.
down. It is
The
available right now on my Substack notes for sharing. Thank you so much.
aw.
We have to, at when we can,
Yeah.
laugh at Trump.
Yep.
He's not allowed to steal our joy. So here in
Nope.
Portland, we're going to try to take this with as much humor and intelligence as we can in the way we push back. I also
I got to tell you,
on
it's
my what?
I've said this before, but it bears repeating because it's going to take time for it to get through. But he does not actually respond to outrage. If anything, it fuels them. The Stephen Millers of the world, when they see people in the streets throwing shit, it gives
Mhm.
them like excuse to do what they want to do, and lets them know that they're pissing off the right people. But if you're laughing at them and dismissing what they're doing, as awful as it is, it has
Mhm.
more of an impact on them than if you are raging at them. Because if you're raging at them, they
Correct.
think this is progress.
I also mocked them mercilessly yesterday, and the tweet that I made from that has triggered them. It's got over 35,000 views at this point. Down at our waterfront peaceful protest march yesterday in Portland. 50501 always does this. We set up there's always a kids zone. Like they can make
Mm-hmm.
chalk drawings on the ground, and there's a cornhole game, and there's a tic-tac-toe, and there's a bubble machine. And so I took a picture of the box and the bubble machine. I was like, uh-oh, Antifa weapon of war coming out. And then they had the bubble machine going. So there's bubbles everywhere. And so I
Right.
made a video. I was like, oh no, Antifa bullets. Antifa bullets are bubbles. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens when one of these Antifa bubbles hits you? Oh no, boom. Oh no, universal health care. Oh no, free speech. Oh no, I'm becoming a better person. And just
Yeah.
mock their language. And like while I did a live stream for a little bit while the speeches were going on, and we were walking around. I was like, look, cornhole is there was a guy and his daughter, and she was wearing the
Right.
tiniest little Vans, black and white checkered Vans sneakers. She was the cutest thing. I'm sure her name was also Juniper, but I didn't get that. But she was playing cornhole. I was like, sir. And he's wearing like a Father John Misty t-shirt, and he's got the beard. He's like so Portland. And I go, sir, you're indoctrinating your child with Antifa cornhole right here. He was like, I know, we're just rebellious hooligans here. So
Right.
again, please, I encourage everybody, please check my Instagram feed, and I'll put more
Mm-hmm.
stuff on Blue Sky. But the sign game, right? Portland's protest sign game, so on point, the way they mock the
Mm-hmm.
administration, the illegitimate. Like there was anger, but as I was walking around talking to people, I also encouraged them to find the humor to mock Trump in
Yes.
this, because yet again, has not been here. So a lot of people, specifically on Instagram, are sharing reels of using his the audio from his quote, like, oh, Portland, people are getting out of there, they don't want to live there anymore, it's like hell on earth. And it's people like the kids riding their bike through the fountain, and people are, they're playing frisbee and biking in the mountains and the waterfall, and it's like, oh, it's hell on earth here. Sure is hell on.
Right.
Please don't come here. Don't come here. It's just one of the most beautiful days we've had. We don't want anyone to know what the weather's like. So it's really important. I'm going to keep that part
Yeah.
of it going, because it
Yes.
matters that they, you don't understand what you're mocking
One of my favorite
out there, right?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes from history is like it's an old English quote or whatever, which is that a single silly song did more to bring down the king than did all the protestations of the bishops. That all
Mm-hmm.
the bishops were all decrying the king, and the people were, there were protests in the streets and the like, as they were being
Mm-hmm.
led around, and it didn't do anything. All he did was send more soldiers, put people down, and all that kind of stuff. But it was when
Mm-hmm.
people in the bars and pubs were singing a song about how stupid he was, that it
Yeah.
effectively undermined his relationship with other countries and that kind of stuff, where they stopped taking him as seriously. They recognized that
Mm-hmm.
people weren't afraid of him because they can sing a song. It's one thing, like, people will protest when they know they're going to die. People will go out into the streets, as we've seen in Iran and other places, when they know they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be shot down. And so there's an element of, there's an answer to the strength and people who are willing to die in these moments, but they are there with that goal in hand. They don't plan on living past
Yeah.
that day. They know they can't.
Right.
And that's because the leader has a level of strength that they can't surpass, that they know is
Right.
real, and they and but when a bunch of people can sit around and sing a limerick song making fun of the leader and he can't do shit about it, that's when the rest of the world goes, oh, okay, they're not actually afraid of this guy.
So one of the things that we talked about before we planned the rally and the protest yesterday, we talked about trying to put together a flash mob and what we could do to humiliate him. And
Mm-hmm.
we may still do this. I'm not spoiling anything by saying it. In fact, I probably should start sharing it everywhere. We're talking about his favorite song is YMCA, which is just
Right.
ridiculous, right? So I was like, why
Mm-hmm.
don't we write a parody song of YMCA and teach it to everybody? And then we do the flash mob, and it would be like, do your arms, M-A, it's no fun to be M-A-G-A,
MAGA. Right.
Trump, stay away. Like very simple stuff like that, but it would start with home in, get your boots off the ground. We said
Mm-hmm.
home in.
Mm-hmm.
Get the hell out of town. We said home in, like that. And then it would be
Yeah.
Christy, da da da, da like, and then I wrote a whole thing and everyone loves it. And so
Yeah.
we're probably gonna do it. But I was like, Christy, there's a place you can go. We said, Christy, it's called Mar-a-Lago. You can stay there, and you will find many ways to wipe Trump's behind. Boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun to be MAGA. What do you
Right.
think?
It's yeah.
So
I would
I'll
say
share
it's
that.
so
I'll
dumb to
share
be
that too.
instead of it's
Exact.
no
It's so
fun.
dumb to be. It's so
Yeah.
dumb to be. I like that.
Instead of it's no
I
fun to
enjoy
be.
collaboration and welcome it. It's so dumb to be. It
Mm.
works too. It's
That's what
so
I
dumb to
that's what I'm here
be
for. I'm a lyricist.
MAGA.
GA. It's so
Trump,
dumb to be.
stay away.
Right.
It's no yeah. It's great. I love it. I will make a note. Uh
Mm-hmm.
it's
Glad
so
to be of
dumb.
service. Yeah.
You know what?
To be MAGA.
Resistance in every form matters. Every act of
Yep.
resistance matters. I will continue pushing for the truth and the justice and the American way as we do. And in the last few minutes we have, I just want to encourage everybody to follow me on all of my socials, and I will follow you back, because the growing community of the truth is really our focus, like indie media, boosting independent media, sharing independent media. Hal, me, my partner,
Mm-hmm.
Tara Devlin, John Fugelsang. Boy, John is killing it with his book, isn't he?
Yeah.
New York Times best-selling author John Fugelsang. He
Yeah, there
gets
you
to say
go.
that for the rest of his
That's
life.
right.
I want to be able to say that too. I want to be a New York Times best-selling
All
author. I
right, we'll
want to
get
go on
at
book
it.
tour with John. Let's get me a book deal already. Overnight, like, when was the last time there was like an overnight success or a rags to riches story where somebody was like, nobody knew you the day before, but then yes, the next day you were everywhere, like with a 10 million viral tweet? When was the last time
Right.
somebody wrote, right? Why not me? I've been the little match girl of Twitter for far too long. I'm really, I don't want to ask. I don't want to be out there with
We
my,
had
like,
gotten
buy a
past
match,
wait,
sir.
we'd gotten
Buy
past the
a
fact that
match,
you were still
sir.
on Twitter, and I held my tongue as best I could. There are a couple of areas where like you don't get a second
Can I
bite at
just,
that apple.
I want to say something about that also. I went back to the blue check system in July because the Epstein stuff was blowing up, and I'm like, I'm going to exploit this fucker, and I'm going to see how much money I can squeeze out of him, because I have earned that from the 10 years that I've been harassed by MAGA. You know what? If I can make any money from you, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to love every penny, because you think Jews run the media and we don't. If I can get money from a Nazi, you bet I'm going to do that. You know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to feed my cats with it, because that would trigger MAGA even more. This $10 million tweet gave me the best pay. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It wasn't crazy. It's not paying my rent by itself. It's contributing, thankfully. But it's the biggest one I've gotten because of the engagement on the $10 million,
Right.
10 million viewed tweet or whatever. So you know what? Okay. It's not going to stay like this forever. I'm telling you, it's not sustainable. And there will be a point where he's going to have to divest from Twitter. He will be forced to, legally, in some way. It's going to happen. And when it happens, I will welcome you all back with open arms, and the bots will be like, pfft. And hopefully someone like Mark Cuban will join forces with someone like Mackenzie Bezos, and we can create that town square that it was intended to be before Donald Trump descended that gold escalator and shat all over everything. And so when you sign up for my Substack, which I really, really hope you do, my latest entry is the open letter to Donald Trump, which links to my original open letter to Donald Trump that I wrote on Medium back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that I said then, Hal. Whoever it was, God, I really should have made a screenshot of it. Whoever named me Nostradamus really, really hit it. And I'm mad that I didn't make up that name for myself, because there is so much that I wrote there that has happened that it's like, I don't know, maybe I know stuff. Maybe I know stuff. So please do that. And again, as I've said, if you follow me on a social media app that where I'm currently not following you back, please ping me there and say, hey, following you, and I will follow you back. Growing this community of truth and sharing the truth is essentially vital right now, particularly when my
Mm-hmm.
city is being threatened. And as somebody who is visible and
Mm-hmm.
vocal, who has received threats, who had to speak to the FBI twice in the last month, I'm asking for you to keep sharing the truth about Portland, because if anything goes down here, by the way, yes, I have a lawyer. Thank you very much. I have a connection to like the most powerful law firm in Portland. In fact, I'm going to be meeting the partner tomorrow, and a partner tomorrow. And my brother's a partner in one of the biggest law firms in America, but I'm not going to name them. And then also now I have a direct line to Senator Ron Wyden. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
literally pick up the phone and call his state director and be like, hey, issue got picked up by blah, blah, blah. Which I don't,
Right.
again, I don't believe, I'm a small fish compared to who they really need to go after.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I'm out here and I'm literally on the ground. Like I have to go out into these horrific streets and buy cat food. So, wish me luck. And
Uh-huh.
by the way, if it does happen, like if if our attorney general, for whatever reason, if his lawsuit is unsuccessful and we end up with troops on the ground here in Portland, it's not like they're going to be in front of Whole Foods. They're not going to be over
Right.
at, right?
No.
They're not going to be at New Seasons blocking us from or Trader Joe's. They're going to
No,
be
they're
at the
gonna
federal
just like
building.
L.A. They're gonna be. It's just like L.A. They're gonna be in
Yeah.
the same fucking area that they were here in Los Angeles, which is downtown on a road hardly anybody uses, in a section of a
Right.
downtown that barely anybody goes near. Like that was the
They'll be
funniest part. Like,
posted up. Yeah. They'll be posted up by ICE, and they'll probably post around City Hall and
mhm,
whatever federal, the federal buildings. And that's not like, I mean, I'm downtown, but I don't live right there. They're going to be by the
mhm,
Moda Center, says somebody. Moda Center, which is a 5-minute walk from where I live. So
right.
that's not fun. But we'll see. And
But
we'll
even
see.
then, they're
We'll,
just
we'll just,
guarding the building, and the thing is, and
yeah,
this is where I like
for no
I can't
reason.
stress enough that I've always been inspired by what happened when the Nazis marched through Skokie, and the response from the people in Skokie was they closed their windows, shut their doors, no one showed up on the street, and they marched alone down an
Yeah.
empty street, like no one
Yeah.
fed into it, nobody gave them more attention, and it was over, and nobody like nobody even plays video of what happened nowadays because it's just a bunch of dudes walking on a street. It never
Right.
made it. There's no viral video to be made of that. Even if you were trying to, make it a mockery, like playing it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a bunch of Nazis walking on a street. It might as well be AI at this point because there's nobody there. And so there's an element,
Yeah.
especially around when Trump sends his ICE people, go someplace else, set up another like
Yeah.
on opposite side of town,
Mhm.
have a concert and raise the
Well, that's
attention
what we
there.
did yesterday. We had a peaceful
Yes,
protest nowhere near the
yes.
ICE facility. I know people who are going down there. That is your choice. I don't go to the ICE facility. I'm a
Hmm.
small human being. I can't run away from anybody. And if something hit me, I would go down hard. So I don't need that. I don't want to be in a violent place. I don't believe in political violence as a solution. And I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want anyone to accuse me that I contributed to any act of political violence. I never condone it. Never, ever, ever. And again, anyone who's in the chat, whatever videos you're seeing, you're going to see the ones at nighttime with a lot of people dressed
Hmm.
in black with their faces covered, like Hal was talking about. please hear me when I say that is a lot of manufactured bullshit for
Yeah.
red meat MAGA to chew on. That is not indicative of Portland. That is not how we live. And if you watch all of the videos from the local media that was filmed yesterday at the protest, every single person they interviewed, every single person they said, all the same things. We are a community of neighbors who take care of each other. Ultimately, that's what our whole
Yes.
country should be. A
Yes.
community of neighbors who take care of each other. Period. End. That's it. That's
Yep.
it. And so
And
if
anybody
I'm
who is
gonna be a
actively trying to draw a line between
Right.
you and other human beings does not have anyone else's best interests at heart, and their entire goal is making sure people don't get together and figure out how to solve real problems for real people who are in real desperate situations.
That's what
Because caring
abusers
is their
do.
kryptonite.
Right? So Trump is an abuser and a predator. What do
Yes.
abusers and predators separate their victims from their family, their friends? They isolate them. They make
That's
them
right.
go, well, I can't. Everybody's against you. Only I can
Alone
take
and
care
hopeless,
of you.
right?
Totally.
And
Predator
what are you
pushing
smiling
his
about?
agenda.
Right. That's right.
So, right. And forcing his troops on Portland because he doesn't want
Yep.
us talking about the Epstein files. Suck it. We have our votes. She will be sworn in. You can't hold Congress, the House, hostage like this forever. Grinder, speaker, Jesus freak. And so when Ron Wyden said to me, we're going to win, we're going to win. The Epstein files are going to come out.
Yeah.
They are not going to go away until Trump does, right? Like that's what's going to be that sends him on his way. And the sooner MAGA embraces the idea that you won't die if you hold your leader accountable, just like we hold ours accountable, I think we will have found a whole new way to find common ground and move forward as a nation. Because again, we're supposed to just take care of each other. You don't have to be best friends with everybody. Just take care of each other. That's what this country is about. My flag, my speech, your speech. So there it is. And I love every single person who's here. Let's hang out on all our socials. Let's keep the truth out there. Remember, Portland is not a war zone. We do not need federal assistance. No American city needs this. No state in the United States should be a police state. Please share the truth with every Republican you see posting. Use my stuff. Use all of my videos. Use all of my photos.
Share my show as well. Absolutely. And remind them, by the way,
all of everything.
And feel free to mock them to their face, so that I guess that states' rights, freedom stuff was just bullshit. Then, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, how would you like it if these guys were in your city?
Yeah, because they're coming.
Right, and you know who's trolling me the most? People in red states. So I say, oh wait a minute, you don't think they're going to come in your state? That's been relying on blue state money to survive for all of this time. You don't think?
Well, that's why they're not. That's also why they're not. Like if you're in a state with inconsequential cities, right? That's what they're counting on. They don't matter.
They'll find a reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
it takes one red state mayor to turn.
Because the business leaders in those areas that are friends with Donald Trump want a certain segment of the population handled for them. That is
correct.
Yep.
All right, everybody.
You're awesome.
Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I'm getting my COVID shot on Wednesday. Yay, Democrats. Yay, West Coast Health Alliance. Yay, yay, yay.
There you go.
Stay where the truth lives, which is right here. I love you, Hal. I'm very grateful for your friendship.
Cheers. You too. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
There she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock.